So I have received some comments on the particular tutorial that I made, Easy Sewing Calculations, asking me about the armhole calculation, all right? So I gave about 2 formulas to be able to find your armhole measurement perfectly, okay? And in these 2 formula, a lot of you have been asking me so many questions. Some of you said I used both formulas, but you did not give me the exact answers. And then you asked questions like, does it mean this formula is wrong? The answer is no. Now, in this tutorial, I am going to show you the real reason why this happens. And sometimes it can actually be because of one little mistake that most beginners are making without even knowing. So the very first formula that I gave you, okay, was the shoulder measurement divided by 2. That's formula 1. Secondly, I also said your bust measurement divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. At the end of this tutorial, you're going to understand why both formulas do not tally with each other. Okay, so if that is what you're interested in, let's get right into it. Do not forget to click on the subscribe button if you are just joining us for the first time. And if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. Remember to like, share, and comment on this tutorial, as this is going to give me reasons to make more tutorials to make sure that you understand everything that you need to learn. Okay, so basically this is the video that brought about the question, okay, where I showed you how to calculate your armhole for a perfect fit, all right? And then I gave about 2 formulas, and I said in the first formula you're going to use the shoulder measurements divided by 2, and that will give you your armhole length, all right? And then I also said the second formula is the bust measurements divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches, and that is also supposed to give you the length. Now, this formula is supposed to give you the actual answer, okay? It's supposed to give you the exact answer. So in this particular tutorial, I had about 7.5 inches for both of the formulas, all right? And then came the questions from some of you that said that the answers you got were not the same from both of the formula. So here is one reason why this is happening. Now, when you're taking your body measurements, okay, some of you do not take your body measurements the proper way. I have made a video on how to take proper body measurements, and if you've not seen that, I am going to put the link in the comment section. So now I am going to show you how to take this measurement accurately. You have to place your tape properly, okay? Some people do not place their tape properly. Place your tape, make sure that it is under your armpit, like it has to be on the bone under your armpit. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Just like this, make sure that there is a bone you're touching while you're placing your shoulder measurement, okay? If you place this correctly, you're not going to have any issue. Now, the same thing is also applicable to the bust round measurement, okay? When you're taking your bust round measurements, make sure that you place your tape, okay, on your nipple. Make sure that it's on your nipple. And when you get to the back, make sure that your back, the tape aligns with the front of the nipple. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. Make sure that they align, because the parts at which my tape is placed is not the same as when it's a little bit below, okay? So make sure that you always take that measurement properly. Place a finger in between your measurement as you're taking it to get an appropriate answer. Now, when you get the answer, okay, that you've gotten from taking proper body measurement, okay, you will now use that to use the 2 formulas that I gave you. And of course, that is going to give you an exact answer. All right. Okay, so now that we have determined what the actual problem is, let's get straight into drafting a armhole. All right, I already showed you how to do that in the calculation video, but I'm going to still go ahead and do it again for those of you that are still or just seeing it for the first time, okay? So in this case, the measurement I like to use is for the shoulder measurement. I'd like to use 15 inches. That's my actual shoulder measurement. And then I'd use for the bust measurement, I would use 36 inches. That's actually my bust measurement as well. Okay. Now, after doing this, the next thing I am going to do is to go ahead and determine using the two formulas that we just clarified. Okay. So the first formula was actually the shoulder measurement, your shoulder divided by 2. Okay. As the first measurement. Then the second is going to be your bust measurement divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. Okay, so for my shoulder measurement divided by 2, I had 7.5 inches. Okay, so this result is going to give me 7.5 inches. And then for 36 divided by 6, I had 6 inches plus 1.5 inches. I am going to have my own 7.5 inches. Okay, so in this case, it is actually tallied. So I'm just going to go ahead right here and mark my actual measurements right here, okay? And also remember that even if you had a slight difference is going to be 0 0.1, 0 0.2, okay? It's never going to reach 0 0.5. If you took the actual measurement right, just know that you're going to have exactly the same answer or a slightly different answer. Okay, so now let's go with my shoulder measurement. So this basically is going to be my shoulder measurement. I'm just going to mark it right here. And then after doing that, the next thing I am going to do is to go down from this point right here. I always make sure that I go down whenever I'm drafting an armhole because my shoulder measurement is actually slopey. So you're not going to start from the part where you had marked your shoulder line, okay? You would start here so that from the shoulder point, your dress is going to slope down and fit perfectly. So from there, you're going to have to mark your 7.5 inches again. Remember, it's 7.5 inches I had as my actual answer. So I'm going to go ahead and mark my 7.5 inches right here. So this is it. And then I am going to go ahead and draw a line to meet up with this 7.5 inches that I had right here. And then I'm going to go ahead and extend the line as so, okay? So basically, I'm done showing you why you're having two different answers. So this particular one is telling you that, okay, right after you have gotten the reason why you're having two different answers, I can still go ahead and show you how to draft your armhole curve, okay? So now after that, the next thing you're going to do, okay, is to go ahead and find the midpoint of your armhole line, okay? So this is basically the midpoint of my armhole depth. The best way to find the midpoint of your armhole depth is to do it just like I did. Fold your tape into two and get the midpoint, all right? If you do not want to use a calculator to divide this. Now, if you're drafting for the front part of your armhole, okay, remember, if you check the armhole, you'd realize that the front part of the armhole is actually a bit deeper, okay, than that of the back armhole. You're going to go ahead and on the midpoint right here, you're going to mark about 0.5 inches outward, okay, 0.5 inches outward. Now, the reason you're doing this 0.5 inches outward is because you want your armhole to sit perfectly, okay, on each other. So at this point right here, I am going to go ahead from this point right here. I am going to just draft using a curve ruler. Please make sure you're using a curve ruler. But if you do not have a curve ruler, you can follow my step, okay? So this is basically what you would want your front armhole to look like. Now, if you're drafting the back armhole, okay, make sure that you use about 0.2 inches. Now, it is not going to be up to, your cuff is not going to be up to 0.5 anymore. And just like you did, you're going to also draft your line to meet up with this and then take it down as so. Okay, so that's basically the difference between the front and the back. So this is the front right here, and this is the back right here. Okay, so this is how to draft your armhole curve. Okay, so this is basically it for why the two armhole formulas do not actually match, and also how to find your perfect armhole curve and draft a perfect armhole, right? I do hope that this tutorial answered all the questions that you were looking for. And if you have any other question, do well to put that in the comment section. I always make sure that I try to answer the questions with a new tutorial, okay? Make sure that you always put your questions out there and I'll do well to look at them, explain them as a comment, or put them in as a tutorial, right? See you in the next tutorial. Do not forget to click on the subscribe button because in this channel, I teach you the basics that you need to know about sewing and also answer all the questions that are so hard for you to actually attend to. See you in the next tutorial. Bye.